Hello, we're here at Balticon 50 in the Inner Harbor, and we're here in our little homemade studio with Maria V. Snyder, author of Night Study. Maria, welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be back.
You know, it's interesting. The last time we talked, you had completed Fire Study, and to the blessed relief of everyone, Yelena and Valek were in a good place, and everyone was happy, and it was all delightful, and there was hope for the future. And now you're writing about them again.
I am.
I know that you've moved on to other characters. The Glass Study novels and a bunch of short stories have come out in that same universe, that same world. What moved you to come back and focus on these two special characters?
Well, there was two reasons. One is my readers. They kept emailing me and begging me at conferences and pleading and giving me those puppy dog eyes. Like, please write more about Yelena and Valek. And I wasn't going to. I kept telling them, well, maybe. You know, I was doing the mom thing.
Yeah.
We'll think about it, or I'll think about it.
Maybe next year, dear.
Yeah, yes. Because I was happy with where Yelena ended up and her character arc, and she was in a good place. So I was really happy about that. But a lot of my readers love Valek, and they wanted to know about his history and how he became an assassin and all that stuff. And I thought, well, I'll write a prequel. But the only problem with the prequel is Yelena wouldn't have been in it.
Right.
And I like a little romance in my novels, so I couldn't have any kind of romantic character with Valek, or I would have been hunted down, I'm sure. Yes, they're very.
Not even a tragic, fated past romance?
No, not even a tragic one. I think that would have been very upsetting to my readers. So I was trying to think of a way to bring in Valek's past without doing a prequel and everything. So what I did is I wrote a new book called Shadow Study, and a new assassin comes on the stage, and she's threatening Valek's job. He's been doing this job for 24 years, and she's some young hotshot come up, and she wants to prove her worth. And he's like, I was never that young and stupid. And then it's like, oh, well, let me think back. And there's a flashback to when he was that young and stupid.
You mean like when he tried to kill the commander?
Right, exactly. So Shadow Study has a lot of flashbacks to Valek's past, to when he was in the assassin school. It's the School of Night and Shadows, and he learned how to the assassin arts. And then he went after the commander, and then from there you get to see him also with the king, who he assassinated. So it really shows what he was doing, what he was going through at that time. And then Night Study is just a progression of him. Now, Yelena's in the story as well. She's dealing with her own problems.
Problems?
Yes.
Not being able to practice the magic that has made you invaluable to two countries?
Right.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, that's a big problem. But, you know, you got to have problems. So she's dealing with that. So in the new books, I have chapters go back and forth.
Right.
The POV goes between Valek and Yelena. And then I throw in a few other side characters because, again, my readers really love hearing from those side characters.
Well, they're great characters. I mean,
yes.
these are the jolliest warriors I have ever met.
Yeah.
They really are. They're funny, they're smart, and they can take a punch.
Yes, and they provide a little bit of a comic relief because, you know, everything's happening and it's so serious and life-threatening, and then they come along and kind of lighten the mood a little bit. So.
I always thought one of them would be an absolute star on the Food Channel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
They are. And so it was being able to study Valek that caused you to decide to go and develop it through these three novels.
Right.
The last of which will be Dawn Study.
Dawn Study, yes.
Out in early 2017, correct?
Yes, correct. End of January, probably. They say February 1st, but it's usually the last Tuesday of the month before.
Right.
And that's coming out. And yeah, and that pretty much took Valek through his character arc. I mean, Yelena is in all the stories, and she does have things happening to her. But the focus is more on him and his changing, because in the first three books, he was Valek. He didn't change.
He was this
the
mysterious,
guy.
dark, brooding,
assassin.
you know. And I can understand why there were a lot of readers who wanted to know more about that character.
Yes, they did. So I wrote it for them. So now that's going to be the final. After Dawn Study is out, that's for those two characters. Now, who knows, maybe one of the younger characters in the books, I might do a spin-off novel from, like I did with the Glass books. They're all a spin-off from Opal, the one character that you meet in Fire Study. So.
Now, in these books, it's interesting. We won't talk too much about the plot because people have to pick them up and read it. Doggone it. That's their job.
Yes, and that would be a good idea.
But it's not just this young assassin. There's a strain in his relationship with the ruler of the kingdom after they overthrew the king, the commander. It's the bond and the absolute trust appears to have been frayed in this. And now we have to find out, well, why, and two, what is all of a sudden Valek, what knowledge is Valek working without as he tries to solve the problems he perceives in the kingdom and with Yelena.
Right. Yeah, so there's a lot going on. In fact, I keep referring to this book, Dawn Study. I just recently wrote the ending like Thursday night, which was 2 nights ago.
You're kidding?
No.
Here?
Yeah,
or just before you came?
Just before I came to Balticon.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, I need to get this done. And it was just a beast of a book. I mean, it went to 120,000 words. I had so many loose ends that I had to tie up. And it was just like never ending. It's like, oh, but wait, I gotta resolve this problem. And I go, oh, this issue here yet. And I gotta put this other scene in because this scene's needed. So
Right.
So it was a difficult book to finish.
But it is done. I mean the basic storyline. There'll be
the first
tweaking.
draft is done. Yes, I'm going to
done.
have to go back through and make it better, smoother, and fix a lot of issues.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you do so much. I mean, it's not just these novels, which everyone loves. I mean, you write short stories. Some of them as interstitials that basically carry along the stories of various characters in your universe.
Yes.
You also have written a series of fascinating novels on the craft and the work of writing as a profession. And let's talk a little bit about that because I think people would find it very instructive if they went to your website and they went through and they took a look at some of these articles because there are some really interesting observations about dealing with rejection, for one, amongst other things. What generated this series of observations?
Well, the writing advice articles are mostly my responding to readers. I get emails from readers who are also writing, and they'll ask me questions. They're like, well, how do you deal with rejection? Or how do you find an agent? How do you find an editor? And so I would write them back and give them all this information. And then I thought, well, I have it here. If I put it on my website, then everybody can access it.
Right.
And also, too, then if I get another question, like how do I find an agent, I can say, here's a link. So it cut down on my time as well.
Exactly, because this is your job and you need all the time you can creating the novels that people want to read anyway. So
yes.
You're making the person asking the question happy and you're making the rest of your fans happy because you haven't stopped writing about what they want to read.
Exactly. And so I started putting them on my website just so that they were there for everybody to take a look at and all. But I do still answer everybody's email. I pride myself on answering everybody. Now, it might not be for a couple months, but I still will answer you. And
well, they have to understand that there are other demands upon your time.
Yeah, a few. Yeah.
Just a few.
Just a few. Yeah.
Well,
my children are getting older, so they're not as much. My daughter's going to graduate high school this year.
Oh, congratulations!
Yes, so she'll
and also sympathies because that means college.
Yes. I have next year. I have a double two children in college, so you can tell everybody buy the books and support my children so they can get good jobs.
Well, okay, so you finished your first draft. Now we can assume that over the next 4 or 5 months you'll be polishing, and it'll go through the publishing process. That machine that takes the creative work and turns it into a commercial product, which means we can buy it, so we can't complain too much.
Right.
But you also, besides being here, you recently went to Australia.
Yes, I did.
To attend a convention. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. It's at SuperNovaCon. Super, yes, because we're all superstars. So it's the Australian equivalent of Comic-Con.
What is it like in terms of atmosphere?
It's like a big, really big Balticon. I mean, they have the dealer's room is like humongous.
Right.
And they have all kinds of actors and voice actors and comic book like artists and people who do is it manga? No.
The manga?
The manga, not too much that, but the people who make the comic books, the graphic novels.
Yeah.
There we go. Yes, they had King Joffrey, the actor that plays King Joffrey on Game of Thrones.
Oh, really?
Yes, he was there.
Wow.
And Bonnie Wright, who does Ginny Weasley. So there was a bunch of actors. So it was like the actors, the voice actors, and then we had authors there, and I was one of the authors that was invited to go.
That must have been a blast.
It was a blast. It was a lot of fun. They really spoil you when you go there. Like they pick you up from the airport, and they have minions to go around with you. Even me. But the actors the actors will come with their little entourages.
Oh, of course.
Yes. But everybody was really nice, and I had a really good time. And I had a lot of readers come out and see me, which was really fantastic.
You know, the manga thing. I'm sorry, but
Yes.
but all of a sudden I'm segueing because I've seen on the site that you're being published in Japan now.
In Japan, yes.
What's the response been?
It's been really good.
The covers are beautiful. They're absolutely gorgeous.
They are. I love the covers. They're like my favorite, I think, out of all of them. But they've been translated. They haven't been turned into manga.
Uh-huh.
So they're translated, and they're like the small little books that you read backwards with all the characters, the calligraphy. And I think Poison Study was like #1 on Amazon Japan.
Really?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, they were really excited. And then when Magic Study came out, they both went up 1 and 2 for a little bit. So the Japanese readers have been really responsive, which is great.
Well, that's great. That's a whole new audience for a whole lot of fiction.
I know. I hope they invite me there. I'll go. I want to go to Japan.
Oh, I've seen some video of some of their conventions. That's going to make everything pale. It's
I know.
just remarkable.
I know. So that would be fun to go. I mean, I'm seeing more cosplay here at Balticon, but at these comic book conventions, it's if you're not cosplaying, you're the odd one out.
Yes. You're the mundane walking
You are the
around.
mundane. You're walking around, and everybody has a costume but you, and you're like, gee, I'm just going as an author. There we go.
Yes. So I know that most writers hate this question being asked, but I have to ask it. You've completed your task. Everyone knows everything they need to know about Valek. And now you have to decide what you're going to do next. Do you have anything in mind, anything you want to explore about your world, anything new you want to take outside of this particular universe that you've created as a writing project down the road?
Yeah, I have 2 ideas to my editor right now. And the one is a fantasy, adult fantasy set on a desert, in a desert world where they all live underground because it's too hot to be on the surface. So I have
that could be this planet in another 100 years.
I know. So the deeper you are, the more powerful you are, because water means power, and the deeper you are is where you're down with the water table is.
Yes.
So the people who are not well off are way up at the surface where it's still hot. So that's one of my proposals into my editor. And another one is a science fiction, a young adult science fiction.
Really? Really? Any particular aspect or topic about it that you're thinking of?
Well, I do have a really good idea, but I don't want to say anything.
Oh, okay. Well, you make us wait.
until I get a contract for it.
You've been doing this for a while now, and so I'd like to ask you. You have a perspective about how the business is run. Now that you're a part of the business. What in the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 years has changed in the last since you started actually actively publishing? What's changed?
Well, the whole ebook, definitely, because more and more people are reading ebooks. My sales of ebooks used to be just a fraction of my sales, and now it's over half.
Really?
I sell more ebooks than I do print books.
God bless the Nook.
Yes, and the Kindle, because they've made it really easy for people to download books. So that's really helped, and also too the publishing frequency. Now I have a book come out every year, but because everybody's used to the ebooks, a lot of independent authors will put their novels out a lot faster than traditionally published. So my readers get very impatient because they're like, wait, we have to wait a year for the next book, when some of their favorite series, an ebook, those authors are putting them out every like 3 months, every 4 months.
But and that's maybe a negative for people who are just ravenous.
Right.
But writers can only write so fast.
I know. And a lot of people who do independent publishing, they will stock up like 3 or 4 novels. And then when they release them like 4 in a year.
And everybody gobbles and gobbles and gobbles.
Gobbles, yes.
But then the interstitial is even larger if they want another feast.
Right. Well, hopefully during that year that they're sending out these novels, they're writing more. So they've kind of spoiled readers,
right.
Which is fine, you know. And so I can't keep up that kind of pace. So, but that's the short stories you mentioned about the world that I do.
Right.
They're a nice way to put them out in between while everyone's waiting. In fact, I have one with the glass books, Opal. A lot of times people ask me what happened to Zatora, one of the master magicians. She kind of disappeared. Well, I wrote a short story about what happened to her. And it's going to be a novella coming out this summer, as just for a way for my readers to have something to read before Dawn's Study comes out.
Where can they find that? Is it going to be just online?
It'll probably just be an
An ebook online.
ebook, yeah, because it's only about 20,000 words. It's really short. But yes, and I'll be promoting that.
It strikes me that with all of the interstitials that you've done and everything else like that, that eventually a collection might be in order.
I think they are looking at doing a collection within, not right now, because we kind of offered that to them. I said I would write X number of short stories, new short stories, to put together in a collection, but my publisher wasn't interested in that. And they pretty much have the rights to the study and glass books. Like if I wanted to do it on my own, I'd have to do it with the different characters.
I see.
Which I am hoping to get all my other short stories together into a collection. We'll see what my publisher wants.
Well, I think if the public wants it, the publisher wants it. That's just the way it works in the business.
Sometimes.
Cross fingers.
Yes,
Cross
yes.
fingers. Well, Maria, it's been a joy to talk to you again.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to come by. I know that it's a busy, crazy, hectic time over at the convention, and we really do appreciate you giving us some time.
Well, again, thank you for inviting me, and hopefully it won't be so long. We can get our schedules together
Yes.
for when the next round comes out.
Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Well, that's it for this edition of Fast Forward. We hope you found something of interest. We hope you'll come see us again. Until then, this is Tom Schad saying, take care.